Hi, my name is Claire Shao, and this is my lab report for Physics 2212, Lab 2, Lines of Charge. So first, as an introduction to Lab 2, the purpose of this lab is to understand the concept of charge and how charged objects interact by utilizing an everyday object such as tape. So this lab is similar to Lab 1, however the tape is modeled as a line charge instead of a point charge. The problem was how much excess charge is on one piece of charged clear tape. And the result of this lab was that the magnitude of the charge on the tape came out to be 2.6 times 10 to the negative 8th coulombs using the line charge calculation method. So just going over physics principles that we use today in the lab versus the gravitational force on an object, which is the force of gravity is equal to mass times gravitational constant. The electric force of an object, F electric, is equal to E field times Q. The electric field of a point charge, the distributed charge process, which is breaking the object into pieces, finding the value for the electric charge of a singular piece, and then using the superposition principle to sum individual pieces to find total electric field of the object. Another principle is that similar charges repel and different charges attract. And finally, that charges cannot be destroyed or created, and the total amount of charge in a system will be fixed. So next, going over the experiment, creating the base and U-tapes. First, creating the base tape, a 0.2 meter piece of tape was used to create the base tape for this experiment, shown by the figure, and then creating the U-tapes. 2.2 meters pieces of tape were also used to create the U-tapes. But first handles were created, and the tape was smoothed onto the base tape and ripped quickly off, as you can see in the model below. Next, we were verifying the U-tape interactions as we did in Lab 1. First, U-tapes were placed vertically on the edge of a desk to hang below, and by placing a hand near the tape, you should observe that the tape was moving towards your hand. Next was the two interacting U-tapes. The U-tapes repelled when they were brought near each other due to the similar charges. Next, the U-tape and a neutral object. The U-tape was attracted to the neutral object. I used a book. And finally, the U-tape and the pen. After rubbing a clear pen with fabric to make the pen negatively charged, the U-tape was attracted to the pen, which indicates that the tape is positively charged, as the principles of opposite charges attracting. Next, the experiment was estimating the excess charge. The setup is shown below, and the distance where the tape B started to float that I measured, the value D was equal to 0.026 meters. Because the momentum of the tape is not changing, the net Y component of the force on tape B must have been equal to 0. And finally, the forces acting on tape B were gravity and electric, which are equal in magnitude. So this is the initial point charge calculation as we did in Lab 1. My calculation for F gravity was 1.96 E times 10 to the negative 3 newtons, and coming out for my F electric to be Q equals 1.2133 times 10 to the negative 8th coulombs. And just looking at the assumptions that we made for the initial point charge calculation, air resistance was ignored on moving objects, and the long tape was treated as if though it were a point charge with all charge concentrated at the center of the long tape. So this is the computational model in GlowScript that I created. As you can see, there is the value for K and G, the gravitational constant, and the mass, and the estimated net charge on the tape that I calculated from the last time I did the lab. And then there's the function for calculating electric field, and the line charge function. Next, on the top left, you can see the top tape and the bottom tape equations for the line charge and the E scale. And more importantly, on the bottom right, there is the iterative for loop that's calculating the line charge calculations by iterating 15 times, which is the value of n. So there's 15 different points on the piece of tape that were used to calculate, as we previously mentioned, using superposition to add each other to calculate the total electric force. This is the visual that came from the computational model in GlowScript. As you can see, the magnitude of the electric force and the magnitude of the gravitational force. And finally, the report questions. The line charge calculation is more accurate than the point charge calculation because the line charge splits the tape into 15 calculations, whereas the point charge uses a single calculation considering the center of the tape. The line charge value I got was 1.2133, and the point charge value was, that should be switched, but the line charge value was 2.6 times 10 to the negative 8 coulombs, and the point charge value is actually equal to 1.2133 times 10 to the negative 8 coulombs. Apologies for the confusion, but just to answer some more questions from the lab report, these values differ due to the method of calculation, By calculating the tape as a single point charge, the value of the calculation is less accurate than using the line charge calculation method that we used in Lab 2. Thank you for listening to my lab report today.